Crazy and hairless, indeed. Welcome, everyone. Only one bonkers boy tonight. Chris is out for his penis enlargement. Shit, I wasn't supposed to say anything. Get well soon, Chris. Bye. uh, no, but not in all seriousness. Out of respect for Chris, he is kind of going through some stuff right now. So, thoughts out to you, brother. Wouldn't have gotten this far without you. So, how is everyone this weekend? First, I guess it's only appropriate that I say thank you to everyone who sent out the birthday wishes. Yes, I'm only 28, old enough to be many a year's child. Spent the day, getting caught up on some work, enjoying a big old thing, carrot cake, and hogging up as much time with my little niece as I could. But, oh no, looking forward to another year. Though, this week, it came to be a bit of a close call. The video feed is buffering like bonkers. Dang, son. Oh, come on. I pulled out all the fancy stops right today. Jesus. Jesus. Just can't fucking win with social media, can we? It is what it is. So, anyway, as I was saying, getting close to missing it this week. There's a pretty nasty accident. So, earlier this week, a pretty nasty blizzard hit my area. Wasn't nothing too out of the norm for the area, but enough where, obviously, some people ended up off the side of the road and buried by snowplows. And there's actual footage of this accident in particular. The police released nearby CCTV camera footage of a young couple who apparently, on the night of the blizzard, decided to have a nice little night on the town. Got a little drunk. Got a little drunk on some slick roads. And managed to use a Subaru Outback to take out a light pole, a traffic light. Not just the power to it, not just hit it and knock it loose, actually knocked the pole down. Interestingly, I could not help but observe in our very young Chris, when I showed him the video, made this assumption that there was a point in the video where all of a sudden you see the vehicle slide, hit the traffic light, the pole coming down. Next thing you know, you see what looks like a male figure up and walking away. Many people who saw this video assumed that someone was for some reason sitting on the light pole and that the man was ejected from the vehicle. Here's the thing. And I happen to know details about this crash. Not because I was there, but I missed it by about 15 minutes. And I knew about it because it happened to take place on the route I usually take when going to work. Especially when there's a good winter storm, because it all happens to be where I live and where I work just happen to be on main truck routes, so they are on the high priority list for the snowplows. No one was ejected from the vehicle. Everyone is okay. As I said, they were drinking and driving, but otherwise perfectly fine. They got up and walked away from the crash. And as for the video, none of them, none of these people who made this assumption that, oh my God, they were ejected, stopped to watch the timestamp. Now, naturally, you have a car accident, you manage to get good video of the impact. People are going to get curious. It's a morbid thing. But they didn't pay attention to the fact that from the moment of impact to the moment you see the man walking out of the car, the video skips. It's CCTV camera footage. It happens. It skips for just about a second. And not to worry if you're half asleep, it's an easy miss. But nevertheless, immediately to these people, the assumption was that someone may have hit a patch of ice, which did happen, and potentially ended up needing a hospital ride. Not the case. I was also able to validate this through my contacts in law enforcement, who knew that this accident happened to be on my way to work, who knew that it was going to be roughly the time I was going to be passing through there on my way home from work. And they started blowing up my phone to make sure, one, if I was okay, or two, if I saw anything. Which, again, no, I didn't. I saw the police trying to corner off the location because of the traffic, so they could get the traffic pole off the road. But that's about it. Now, why do I use this example? This is a recurring phenomenon that happens whenever there is a major exciting development, paranormal or not. And Dots, I will say, yes, I did catch that Saturn UFO footage. Very interesting. Something I wanted to bring up, and Chris was the one that brought it to my attention in the first place, was a story out of New York where a fight broke out in front of a synagogue as an illegal tunnel was found underneath the facility that weakened the structural integrity of the city block enough to where it was close to collapse. Immediately, rumors of cages being found in this tunnel with traces of blood, human feces, signs of torture. Rumors of human trafficking even started to spiral. Hot topic. human trafficking. Is it happening? Of course it is. Are there tunnels under New York City that are being utilized? Yes, they've been around since at least Prohibition. But in this incident, there was no real trace of any of that. I've asked my contacts with NYPD. Yes, there's a couple I know. We happened to cross paths from a show I did a few years back and kept in touch. These were a bunch of 20-year-olds who did not like how it took 15 to 20 minutes to leave the synagogue during high traffic holidays. In the supernatural, there's this habit that a lot of people who are simply just fascinated by the topic, they get caught up in the controversy, they get caught up in the story. And the story unfolds to where it's no longer the original tale. It's not actual fact about what happened. Because people become so enamored with their own fantasy rather than the truth. Now, could there have been human trafficking motives behind that tunnel? Maybe. It's New York. There's a lot of shit that goes down. City that never sleeps for a reason. And there's probably several tunnels from the Prohibition era that still have yet to be found. There's still several cartels utilize advanced tunneling systems to get across national borders. And many of those officials who have been responsible for major arrests often quote that for every tunnel they find, at least 10 more pop up. So there is a very real threat there. These things are happening. But the fantastical way that social media has allowed certain aspects to be twisted because people want to have some sort of claim to fame gets to where the truth no longer matters. Now, sure, these thought processes are fine for works of fiction. You create, a good movie or write a detailed book, and people start coming up with their own little theories about what's going on. Yeah, it's fine. It's something you want as a fiction writer because it means one, your audience is captivated enough, and two, it keeps the story going, keeps the audience interested. Because the number one thing that always drives attention is word of mouth, good or bad. And you see it all the time in viral marketing campaigns. Some crazy stunt goes on, you find out it was to help promote a movie. Chances are you're going to kind of want to see that movie, see what it's all about. Y'all remember the videos coming out of China? They claim to show some sort of superhero or angels saving people from a car accident or using telekinesis to move a shopping cart so it didn't smash into a little girl. Those are marketing campaigns for a game that looks nothing like it. Oh, uh-oh. Hope your lap's doing okay, Chris. Just saw you entered in. Very bad segue there. It doesn't take much to get people captivated by an incident. True or not? I just lost my train of thought here. Oh, dear Lord. What the hell? Is this thing acting up again? Okay. That was a little weird. Can y'all still see me? Okay. Looks like all the lights are on. Okay. I'm just going to take a minute for everything to pop back up here. I don't know what the hell's going on. Oh, Jesus. I don't know what the hell just happened. Um, from all things, it should look like I'm alone in here, alone with my thoughts. A very scary place as usual. I mean, I noticed my signal was acting a little funky, but that's all I saw on my hand. Well, I think we're back. Maybe. Now it's got me paranoid. But as I was saying, there's this pattern when it comes to any story that captivates social media, especially with the advent of TikTok, that unfortunately makes it to where people seem to be losing their ability to use discernment. In this day and age, with everything that's going to be coming about, it's both exactly what's wanted, but the one thing that needs to stop. In a matter of speaking, it's wanted because, again, the more you can stir people in a certain direction. Chris Signal played up last week. Yeah, no. Around the time he and I were on last week, there was I know he was getting hit with some weather, but I believe, Chris, if you're still with us, feel free to correct me on that course. I do believe Chris was having issues with weather, which main part of it, but it's also the fact that we were talking about our dear old friend Mike the Naked Bigfoot, which yet another figure we've had on that too much weird shit happened to really ignore. But let's go to the situation about Mike, because this actually ends up proving my point. Just about how far it goes for people to try to play up the fantastical. As some of you know, may have heard from the little birthday video that I put out, and I'm fine. I recorded that when I was half asleep and just barely getting off of work. I'm fine, people, okay? Trust me, the mental health train has been gone out of this head for quite some time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be as funny. Anyway, it was brought to our attention that someone broke onto Mike's family property where he's buried in order to try to ghost hunt his grave, announcing it on YouTube. Apparently, Mike's son found out about it because one of their employees happened to be a subscriber to this very group and caught a live stream where they admitted to it. It's been handled. Charges have been pressed by the police. That's the latest update I had on that. As the UFO topic is becoming a lot more limelight, we have the issue of people blowing things out of proportion, focusing on the wrong aspects. You remember that old photo? I can't remember the exact label for it, but Nick Pope brought it out. It was supposed to be the best ever shot photo of a UFO. I imagine with cameras being available back then. Trying to pull up something right now that happened to remind me of that photo. So those of you on the audio side of this broadcast, you might want to pop over. Gotta take it. Voice command module malfunction. Fuck you work, you bastard. Remember that UFO photo that kind of looked like this? Yes, very odd. I have no clue what happened. I noticed my signal started to act up. Then all of a sudden it started to play out like someone hit the shut down button. Anyway, this photo happened to come across on my Facebook, so I made sure to save it. Because a lot of people were convinced that this was a rock floating in the middle of the air. Now, granted, there are legitimate hotspots where magnetic activity in the region actually does cause some of the rocks to fly. So the rocks to levitate by themselves. The people in the chat are already beating me to the punch. Social media tries to say that's a UFO in disguise. Now, granted, they do have some cloaking devices, but others try to peer for the more natural explanations. Realize that is a rock in still floating water. Miami. The whole mall incident. there's a video going around claiming to be showing the ET coming out of the mall. Conveniently, the footage is all grainy and staticky like a malfunctioning camera. Here's the thing. That video happens to be something that I'm familiar with. Several people have tried to send me the video saying it was proof that there were, in fact, aliens that came down in Miami. Now, granted, Miami's just weird enough to where maybe some ETs are looking for a tropical holiday. Who knows? Down in Florida is weird enough to where they can get away with it and blend in fairly well. Though, personally, I would prefer to head toward Las Vegas, but that's because I've never been there. The video in question happens to be taken from a TikTok page. And looks like the original author actually started to address his videos being used. I'm going to bring up that video right now, if it'll fucking let me. Come on. Play nice. Full statement from the original. Oh, shit. What the fuck? Sorry. On my end, right now, it looks like I just started a brand new video. That's why I was pausing there for a sec. What is going on with Streamlabs right now? But that footage I just pulled up, for those of you wondering, shows what looks almost like a crossbreed between the invaders from Independence Day and xenomorphs. Naturally, people are trying to claim that those are the Miami aliens. Those videos were made 3 years ago from a TikTok account that goes by the shortest blockbusters. A content creator who uses their skills in video effects design to recreate nightmares. That's the legitimate story behind that particular user. But because it's so easy to grab the video, to be able to manipulate it, kids these days, they can get onto programs like CapCut, which was released by TikTok as well, spend maybe 5 minutes at most altering the footage to where you can't tell where it came from. You couldn't tell what kind of alien that was. It just looked weird. I've had police try to reproach me saying that footage was out of Miami for people who have never actually been to Miami. It is very unusual to see unfold. Now, granted, it is something to be expected as this topic is becoming a lot more mainstream. People don't understand the truth. Because let's face it, at least here in the States, our education system, not the best. And people don't exactly have much retention for even some of the most basic concepts they learn in school. Yes, there's a lot of shit you learn in schools these days that's been easily disproven, but there's still teachers who think they're badass Nazis and try to teach it anyway because it's their way or the highway. They think they know better. Though, isn't it kind of funny to jump back to the New York tunnel incident that there's reported spikes in hate crimes against Jewish people right as the final playbooks for Nazi takeovers are supposed to be happening? Ain't that a little funny? Dumb down the population, make them target each other. Exactly. Too many people are so easily fooled. Which actually brings me to something that many of you are probably familiar with, and I'm a little behind on her video, so she goes to. I know she went to address this, but to her extent, that our lovely Elena did not happen to bring up. And it's actually a question I get a lot as well from people who've gone into my story a bit more in depth. Why is it that if we are able to physically get on the craft, why can't we get like a little souvenir? A little something more than just us retelling the events that transpired. How come we're not able to get a selfie with the aliens? Now, like I said, this is a question I happen to get a lot myself. They know I'm about to bring out something. Oh God, I just can't win with this shit tonight, can I? But like Dot says, divide and conquer. Old trick. One of the oldest trick in the book in regards to controlling a population. But as I was saying, I know that Elena has recently brought up that she gets this question a lot, and understandably so. You know, from an outsider who doesn't really understand why these things don't work. If we have such close and intimate encounters, I should really be careful with my phrasing there with my backstory, but how is it that we're not able to capture more proof? Well, for those who are actually knowledgeable about electronics, the explanation we can give that the craft themselves fuck up electronics, for to put it in more crude terms, the craft themselves fuck with our electronics. make it to where they malfunction. Say like the jellyfish UFO videos. I know there's a theory, the prevailing theory going around right now. I saw what's his name? He's the gentleman that runs Black Vault. Anyway, I know the main prevailing theory right now about those jellyfish UFO videos coming out of Iraq is that for somehow those were balloons. I really need to see the logic a bit more on what's pushing people to that conclusion. Because to the best of my knowledge, the balloons shouldn't be causing that kind of heat strobe effect that you see in the video. It's a lot harder to fake with infrared. And John, how's it going, man? You're missing out on all the weird shit. Because my signal just kicked out right as I was gonna get ready to play y'all a little something. So just to kind of establish for John and anybody else who sneaks in late, Elena recently brought up the question that she constantly gets, and it's something I actually get too, is if we have such close encounters, physical one-on-one encounters with ETs to where we can reach out and shake their hand, how come we can't get a selfie? How come we can't get a souvenir? If the Excelsior has a shopping mall, how come there's no other souvenir shop we can bring back down to earth? Now, of course, you're going to have the skeptics say, well, it doesn't make sense. Why can't you just bring it down? And the skeptics aren't necessarily going to follow that there's litigation, there's actual bylaws against it. To where, yes, certain circumstances there we can have that interaction, but we have to limit how much evidence goes back. And I was actually going to bring something up just before my situation got rudely interrupted by technical issues. Hey, you're only spicing up the life. But where'd it go? I wanted to play you guys a little something. For those of you who followed me for a while, you may be familiar with the idea that I put forward. Is that if you believe you're having some sort of interactions like this at night, and you're getting your memory wiped, or something's going on to where it's traumatic, and you're blocking it out. That's actually a very interesting point. I'll work that into the show here in a sec. There, nuts. If you believe you're having some sort of interactions late at night, one thing you can do to kind of test what's going on is if you have some sort of recorder going on late at night. Now, the one I use is an app called Dream Voices. Kind of see it there. It's Android based. This is something you need to play around with your own personal device. My main thing is that everybody's got a cell phone with them. Not everybody's going to have handy equipment on whenever this thing happens, because 90% of the good fucking sightings I have are when I can't get a good camera out in time. One thing you could do is have a recorder going on at your bedside. Because I've caught actual voice, caught what is interference. Excuse me. I've also managed to catch interference with something disrupting the tape itself of static. See if I can find the tape here real quick. Now, if you want to try this out for yourself, naturally, worst case scenario, you're going to find out what type of weird shit you're saying in your sleep. Other times, you may get something like this. Now, you may be wondering, Dakota, how do you know that that's something weird? Well, I didn't exactly have a lot of prep time to upload this particular clip to your show. Not bad, but with these sleep recording apps, they usually record in certain time intervals, about 10 seconds, roughly. And as you can see, there's a point where that particular segment all of a sudden it gets filled with a lot of static. Yes, I have electronics near me, but if they're out that bad at night, they should not be working when I get up the next morning. I don't use a radio or white noise to go to sleep. What this helps establish is that something is in fact going on. If you want to get a little bit more creative, you can experiment with Spirit Box app. It's be very careful with what apps you decide to use because 99% of them are bullshit. Dots pointed out in the chat a little interesting fact. Mountain gorillas have been around nearly as long as us, but they haven't really been discovered until about 1903. So going back to the scenario of why can't abductees catch a selfie with the aliens? Because again, close enough interaction with our electronics causes interference, unless you have some sort of backing, protective layering on it. Faraday cage, maybe. I don't know. If you want to get a little bit more creative, and you're fairly certain that you may have something going on at night, you may actually decide to do what I do and freak out any potential romantic lovers by putting up cameras in the bedroom. Trust me, there's a lot who get very concerned. But again, that is still reliant on something not messing with it. And at least one of those cameras has been acting like it's on the fritz. That some sensors have actually physically been damaged. And as much as I would love to show clips of me suddenly disappearing or walking through some portal, times because it does times that footage is gone. video skip. Code on Earth. Come in, Earth. Oh, they know I have an experiment. You see me okay? I'm here. See, this is why I started doing pre-recorded because I get so easily distracted. Un momento, we're going to try some. Hello, everyone. There are no such thing as aliens. Please continue. Dear God, what is going on with my signal right now? I can't fucking win, can I? So, anyway, as I was saying, Dots makes a very valid point. There's an incompatibility with our technology, simply put, that makes it to where our systems go on the fritz. You have to take into consideration the parts of the realm or density or dimensions, whatever fucking term you want to use, because I know that's going to cause an argument somewhere. With each higher density or dimension, the energy itself grows. It's magnified. There could very well be a point in where a being is such of high density or dimension that the energy from a nuclear blast strong enough to wipe out a continent would be like a mild summer day to them. So naturally, if you expose technology that is not specifically prepared to handle that energy load, that type of potential interference, it's going to go on the fritz. There's some people in Elena's comments I've noticed who tried to suggest an idea, but she'd try to go old school, Polaroids, actual film cameras. Technology so ancient that the younger people in our audience are going, "What the film camera?" I'm only 28 and I know what film is. God. Here's the thing. You don't have to do anything exotic in order to test this. Take film, allow it to go through airport's x-rays. Tell me what happens. The film itself gets destroyed, unusable. It's a nice little idea. Go back to a time when there wasn't really any tech behind what we actually used. But the thing is, the actual part that holds the evidence that you're wanting may not survive. That's why they suggest if you're carrying an old school film these days and you're going to the airport, have them hand check your bags. Try to keep it in your carry-on as much as possible. So that way it doesn't get destroyed by airport x-rays. But that's still what's readily accessible in our part of reality. So what are you going to do with fancy alien tech? Now they may be able to dig up some sort of old hand-me-downs that we could be able to use. Maybe. But what if, now this is a big what if. What if there could be an experiment that would essentially be the UFO equivalent of a David Copperfield magic trick? I should probably rephrase that. Something, I got to thinking about it myself, utilizing some of the information that I've picked up on through my research, things I've physically seen with my own eyes. What if there was a way to utilize the craft itself in an experiment? Where is my fucking... This is actually a point I want to try to end the show on, because we are getting close to end time, and Chris should be back from his recovery for his penis enlargement tomorrow. So I don't know what we'll talk about. That's why it says insert witty title. God damn it. Oh, I gotta really start preparing for the shows more. So unprofessional. What if there is a little experiment? Say, as an example, that all reasons of why no souvenirs or photos can be taken, because not a lot of people realize abductees aren't exactly allowed to take their phones. Now they happen to have some. Again, if you want to try to utilize some sort of method to capture what's going on, it doesn't say anything about having your phone nearby and turned on in a way to where it's recording what's happening, which I just realized I do have an Alexa as well, so that could have been useful. But no, Amazon won't let me in. Probably need some developer options. But as I was saying, I got to thinking, what if there was a way to go around all the tech issues, all of the bylaws, and that, for the sake of argument, this experiment was allowed? Keep hearing a woman's voice coming through my earbuds. Really? She sound hot? Now, Stephanie, this one's for you. Does the woman sound like she's has some sort of breathing issues? I'm asking legitimately. just to kind of rule anything out. As far as I know, everybody else in the house is still asleep. But I don't know if the baby will cooperate. But anyway, as I was saying, what if there's an experiment we could try out? Doesn't affect any of the laws. We don't necessarily rely on old school tech trying to survive the trip upstairs. What if we can use an experiment? And think of it as like something, yes, like she is out of breath or can't catch her breath. Oh, I know who that is. I know who it is. Yeah, that's just the previous owner of the house. She passed away not too long before I moved in. She smoked a lot and carried around an oxygen tank. So she likes to pop in every now and then. It's definitely interesting to compare how spirits show up to the ETs. But anyway, I'm distracted. This experiment that I keep being distracted on. Thanks a lot, Stephanie. I'm joking. This takes into consideration that the craft often act like an extension of the pilots. And that more often than not, different energy signatures of the human body are reflected in the actual craft. And that sometimes there's a different hum. You can physically hear, phones can physically capture, or sometimes you can physically hear it, a change in tone with the actual craft itself. The energy itself is moving in such a way that you can physically hear the change. It's that charged up. This is actually a lot of the basis behind how the tones behind Dr. Stephen Greer's CE5 protocols are. Yes, Dr. Greer has some shady connections. It's a little off on that he says that Earth is the only planet with assholes. But I do believe in one of his documentaries, he explains that the reason why he uses that terminology itself is so that the people who go into this who are unexperienced, it's his way of trying to get people to go into utilizing his CE5 protocols with the intention that nothing can physically hurt them. If I'm not mistaken, it's his main documentary, he says that. But anyway, Dots, as far as her name, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I do know that she still gets spam mail. And I'm just like, I don't know, I keep telling the post office, like, no longer at this address. She's dead. Anyway, back to the experiment. With these vibrational changes, it can actually be recorded on our devices. You can hear the change in tone. Some people who are able to astral project even have this sort of resonation to them. People often describe the sound as something being very similar to auto shop lights, those long LED bars, the kind of hum they give when they first turn on, but it going like making a sound like that. The experiment I have in mind, actually, Lulu, it can sound like kind of a ringing. If you think you have something, feel free to send me it. When I first heard these tones, there is actually a musical process that came to mind. It's called sonification, where and anybody can get this program. It's like $20, where you can get a program that actually converts pictures into sound by scanning all the light and dark areas. And there's actually some musicians that have utilized this in their songs, to where if you run their songs through a spectrogram, you'll see pictures. There's one guy, he's not really anybody big, but he put a bunch of pictures of his cat into a song he wrote. A popular example of this being used is within the 2016 Doom game and its sequel, where the soundtrack composer Mick Gordon utilized this process to hide like old game screenshots, logos, even some satanic symbols, but it's Doom. It's about running and killing demons in the physical sound. In my own experiments, it is possible to utilize this process to recreate a CE5-esque sound that if a person could physically let play in their head, for lack of a better word, it physically affects their body's EMF readings. It physically affects the environment. And it can be done through visualizing whatever image was used in order to help make that sound, or just to play the tone in their head. They don't have it readily accessible, even though I utilize my connections in order to allow for that sound to be found on just about every major music distribution platform. All you have to do is look up my name, spell it right, goddammit, protection meditation, and you should be able to find it. There's even some YouTube videos out there as well where it's utilized. Powerful stuff. But that's because I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. So, the experiment I have in mind comes with crop circles. What if we could use that logic to create a crop circle in an undisclosed location? What do I mean by that? Say we have subject 1. Gets taken upstairs. The idea is that subject 1 somehow has access to either the drone tech that's been spotted making these crop circles. There's actual video that's been proven to be legitimate, where it looks like just a little black speck flying around, and you see the crops are physically laying out into these intricate patterns. By every test, those videos seem legit. If they weren't, they're very well done, and I would like to potentially hire the person who made them. My thought process. If somehow person 1 can get access to either this little drone or whatever they utilize in order to make these crop circles, they find a patch of land and they create some sort of pattern, just something random, okay? Utilize that tech in order to create that pattern in a field somewhere, to be validated by a secondary individual. There's no reason why I'm using bathroom stick figures other than just to show distinction and to make sure these actually show up on camera. Now, the idea behind this experiment is that person 2 does not know what kind of pattern they're looking for. Ideally, they would have to have access to a high vantage point or a decent drone camera. Person 1 needs to be able to communicate what sort of image to expect without physically telling person 2. Now I'll get to that in a second, Lawrence. The idea behind this is that either person 1 manages to either seal away or send through the post, whatever happens, the image they have in mind, the image they want to recreate into these crop circles. Either they have a third person on standby who collects that image. Basically, he's the main control. He's the one that goes to compare everything. While person 2 goes out to collect solely the potential crop circle without having any knowledge of what type of pattern to be expecting. You have to be able to eliminate out as many outside biases as possible. That's why I say, for the sake of argument, say this experiment is allowed, this tech is allowed to be used by human hands, or there's a pilot on standby. They're willing to work with us. The third person is the most ideal. They get to see both the image that was initially the intended image that was meant to be planted into these crops, while also comparing it to person 2 who actually tries to find the crop circle. It is ideal that the location is agreed upon. It's something that is slightly out of reach to where person 2 can't go out in the middle of the night with a piece of string and a 2x4 and make the patterns themselves. But not so out of reach that they can't get to it. Some way this particular part of it is going to be the most difficult in order to just collect the images before it gets contaminated. Having a third person on standby would help isolate these variables. No direct communication other than this experiment being done between the first 2 individuals. Naturally, this limits out whether or not the Federation or maybe some independent contractor, who knows, they just don't, that they're willing to cooperate. The reason why I say have something like this in standby, because 1, it utilizes the tech. Everybody involved is on board with the experiment, but it also eliminates the factors to try to ignore any potential contamination, any false promises. Because yes, hundreds of crop circles have been falsely made. But in this instance, it's also crucial that we try to identify anomalous aspects to the produced image in this experiment to look out for, to try to rule out outside bias. 1 is higher than normal radiation readings. Obviously, you're playing around with radiation, it can get very dangerous. It can make you very sick. But a legitimate crop circle will have higher than normal radiation levels. Secondly, going back to a ringing sound that Lulu was asking about, I should say. Sometimes on camera, you can hear the crop circle. That's also another good point, Dots. Thank you. Because I'm kind of scatterbrained right now. When aren't I? But if it's done with a 2x4, yes, depending on the state of the crops, they can just look like they're bent. But the radiation is going to be one of the hardest ones to fake. Unless the farmland is somehow on a natural uranium deposit and that's affecting some of the crop. But again, this is just an idea. Whether or not it'll actually be able to be conducted is another argument entirely. Like I said, this is for the sake of argument that all parties involved agree to it. Because if people were to pull off this type of experiment, that would be intricate proof that even the skeptics would have a hard time writing off. While naturally skeptics can sometimes be assholes about it, they do also make some valid points on occasion. This way, no technological interference, no reliance on the very things you need in order to document everything being destroyed somehow. And it creates enough elaboration to where it's very, very difficult, not necessarily impossible, for human influence. As for the type of pattern person one would need to create, it would need to be something simple that they can easily keep in their mind without having too much distortion, but complex enough to where, again, people with a piece of string and 2x4s can't easily replicate it. Easily being the key word. While people are easily fooled this day and age, and social media unfortunately fosters an environment where that sort of behavior is fostered, it allows it to prosper for the sake of views, engagement, subscribers, and people are willing to bend their own morals and ethics in order to achieve those numbers. The absence of evidence is not always evidence of absence. There's still much we do not know. And the assumption that science could have easily figured something like this out by now, yeah, it could have. But that's also assuming that science is a know-all answer. It's meant to be a documentation process. And while, yes, witness testimonies can be important, more often than not, they're the very baseline of evidence. One person comes out saying something, they're crazy. More than one person comes out saying something, the same thing, within a reasonable margin of deviation. Naturally, the stories are going to be a little different depending on who's telling it. They have something. But if you're able to produce physical evidence, then it gets to be a little bit more of an intrigue. And we pull off something like this. Hey, got to be able to make. Well, Lawrence, that's an interesting claim, but you have to take into consideration a lot of those crop circles were done without the aid of an eye in the sky. Otherwise, it would be too noisy. And drones weren't exactly available by then. So they had to come up with some sort of system to create those intricate patterns. And Mathematics is in a little bit of everything. But still, feel free to discuss whether or not that's something that you think might be worth trying. If it's allowed, if you have your own little ideas on what can be done, let's share it. Let's get a discussion going. And I realize I've been off on time. We're going to blame tech issues for that. I do want to give a quick shout out to K-Town from Mysterious Radio for having me on their show. We recorded it earlier today. Naturally, not enough time to really discuss all the juicy tidbits, but with everything that's going to be coming up soon, there's going to be plenty more story to come out. And quick announcement, for those of you who are interested in our books or becoming a Bald and Bonkers author, I just got started with the process earlier today, but if you're interested in getting your books made into audiobooks, we just landed a distribution partner to help out with that. So some good stuff going to be coming out with that. My name is Dakota France, and I am the CEO of the Bald and Bonkers Network and Specialist of the Strange. Much love. Take care. Let me know your thoughts on this or any guests or topic show ideas that you have for us. Let us know because we're running out, man. Let's see if I can go out on how it's supposed.
All I'm going to say is first, hey Jenny, if you're in the chat, hello Jen. I can't see Jenny. Why is Jenny not showing up in the chat?
What's going on?
I can't see Jenny in that chat.
Figures that we mentioned that we mentioned you're back from your penis enlargement. Jenny pops up.
Oh, I can't see Jenny in my chat. Why is that?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going after Jenny now?
Jenny, I can't see you in my Go Squad Scotland for some weird reason, and I can't see you on here for one reason. Can it banned the other night there? It blocked Mike the Naked Bigfoot's son Pete, and it blocked another few folk too.
All right, I'm in my Specialist of the Strange account, and I'm not seeing her.
It should maybe be on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, Jenny.
Well, they're messaging through Facebook. They're mentioning it through YouTube, but
yes, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say yes, I have been away. Yes, and Dakota being the kind soul that he is, he had to say something, just had to. Yes, it was rather large actually, but I went with Dakota's advice actually because he actually had one done a couple of months ago. When he was away. Well, what had happened was it was very, very small. and I felt that sorry for him. You know, everybody is like a
Oh,
pitch in, and they all paid for it. You know, but but that's the end of it. Honestly, Dakota. Honestly, I've got the cold. You can't leave him anywhere, can you?
Well, I had to tell people something as to why you were gone.
Just checking Jenny's message, but she's not messaging me. If you're in, I don't know. Maybe somebody said Jenny, but I can't see Jenny, so I don't know where she is. We'll get to the bottom of it, Jenny, and fix it.
I was about to say the only one that has an icon close to Jenny's was Alan, so that's a pretty bad mistake.
Alan, everybody thinks you're a woman. That's what it is.
Oh, he's got the figure for it.
Well, there you go. I know that you're into that kind of thing, Dakota. You know, you like them hairy. You know, something to hold on to. Up there in the old Galactic Empire, you know. Hey, Papa Joe's Adventures, Galactic Stardust, good to see you. Dots MC, I'm going to have words with you, I'm afraid. But do you like my new sign?
Oh, yeah. Hey, you were showing me that the other day.
Please do not feed the Squatch. Yeah.
Yeah, they get lingering around a bit if you feed them.
You know. So, what have you been up to? What's all this? That was crazy live you did last night. I was lying in my bed, no feeling very well, and you just
I don't know what the fuck was causing that shit. I don't know what the hell happened.
It's the aliens. I'm telling you, they're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. There's some crazy stuff happening. There's a big storm hitting Scotland the noon. It's the same one that's hitting Dots the noon. It must be about 180 to 90 mile an hour winds to 100 mile an hour winds out there. There's bins lying all over the street. There's folks. I seen a trampoline fly past my window. It was like something out of Wizard of Oz.
Right.
I mean, you'd think in the wintertime somebody would take the trampoline and take it down, or anchor it to the ground, or just leave it lying in the back grass. But no, you know. Was that evening titty winkle? Titty winkle, guys. Oh, there's somebody else that's need to go for that operation. Chad, it's good to see you.
Oh, dear Lord. I gave him a
He's got that
idea.
problem. He was telling me one night about it. It's terrible. Got a big pair of tweezers, you know.
Jesus. What have I done?
If I'm pissing MD off tonight, I would just like to say you will be blocked.
Oh, it seems like
Hey,
he's
Longs.
a little high on the drugs right now.
I'm no lying the drugs. I'm not. Where's my wig? My wig scratchers. I can't reach my wig. You know, everybody's always asking about this. I think this is a beautiful wig. It's 100% nylon. Yeah, I think that. What would it be called, bald and bonkers, if we were in the bonkers? I mean, where's the bonkers part? Yeah.
Well, it depends on your definition of bonkers, I guess.
Some people have said I look a bit like Elton John. I could start singing "Candle in the Wind." What is it? What's the Simple Jack?
Oh, God.
What?
Doing that fucking wig.
Look, I'm going to leave that wig in my will to you, and I want you to wear it with pride. I'll give you $100 if you to wear that to a UFO convention.
I don't know about you, man.
So, on saying it's Sunday show, what's the crazy shit that's been happening in the world this weather, man? I mean, the world's falling apart, especially with what they say it's coming up with the Middle East and stuff like that. Have you seen that?
We have shit in the Middle East. We still have repercussions coming out about the Epstein list.
There's what's the name? There's Papa Joy. He's a man there that knows he likes a wig. You know, there's something sexy. I'm telling you, it makes me look younger. Can you hear the wind in my end?
No, but I was going to say,
it's crazy.
It makes you look like you belong on a certain registry.
Yeah, well, you know. It's no a Donald Trump wig, actually. It's no. I'm going to make YouTube great again. You know, but it's no a Donald Trump wig. It's a 70s style wig shop. It was at or something like that. That's where I go to. You know. changing my room there, you know. But I will say this: did you hear what NATO have tell everybody?
What has NATO told everybody?
NATO has told, and it's a subject I would like to get to because it's quite interesting because the UK's have started telling us now that we should prepare for an event. We should have up to 39 days worth of food and supplies, or up to 39 hours worth of like candles, food and supplies to survive the first 2 days.
Only 39 hours, huh?
Well, they're saying 39 hours. What they're saying is for the first 39 hours, you should have a candles, you should have some torches, and you should have a radio. But for the rest of the 39 days or whatever, the month or so, you should have enough food to keep you going. Why are they doing this? Are they expecting more?
Well, did you hear about the latest proclamation out of Russia?
No, I've not looked at the news.
That Putin actually signed a proclamation basically insinuating that the sale of Alaska to the United States was actually illegal.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when was it sold?
18 something. Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of paper. I mean, that was the Tsar and all that at that time. You know what I mean?
That's what people keep trying to say. Putin's trying to restore Russia to.
But I know the only reason he's wanting Alaska is because of the large gold, oil, and coal reserves that's there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's billions and billions of dollars of gold still left.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think the world's ready to explode. I mean, the US has sent 20,000 troops to the Middle East. Britain's sending 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a tinder pot and it's ready to explode.
Well, something's
I
getting ready
think
to happen.
something's on the brink. See, they keep putting this. They keep pushing. They keep pushing the fake alien attack agenda at the same time. Have you noticed?
Yep.
So what happens if this is something totally different? What happens if all the governments in the world are just using this as an excuse to prepare for what's coming?
It will not be surprising.
I mean, we know that the Galactic Federation, all that, we know that they're peaceful and loving and all that kind of stuff, right? But the people that's holding on to this world that like money and like their power don't want to lose that. So if they start coming down here, they'll start shooting them. See, that, what's your opinion on that UFO? The one that looks like the thing out of Star Wars? Obtained with the night thermal. It was captured, I think, a few years ago, and it's just been released. The one that looks like the droid out of Star Wars.
The jellyfish, as they're calling it.
Yeah, the jellyfish UFO. I mean, it's quite an interesting thing. That, right? Some people have said it's a guy in a jetpack, right? But it's holy shit! Can you hear that wind? But
I just thought you were gassy.
No, I'm just. You should hear it, but anyway, where was it? That jellyfish UFO, right? But here's the thing about it, right? Everybody's like, "Oh, it's a guy in a jetpack," but see if you change the image in there, you can see it's all like made of metal.
Yeah, that particular piece of footage is interesting when you think about it, because one of the other dear God,
yeah,
you should really see a doctor about that.
I know.
No,
it's the wind. I thought my windy was going to come in there.
The owner of the Black Vault, John Greenwald, I believe his name was, he's actually coming out saying that several parties are agreeing that it was a type of balloon.
But it goes invisible.
The strobing effect that it has with the heat signature, that's what's getting me. That would be very hard to replicate.
Unless this is all part of the agenda. unless this is all. Did you I'm going to say this. You ever seen the film Battle of Los Angeles?
Yeah.
You ever seen the robots in the Battle of Los Angeles? What they look like? They're like robots, but they're no robots because they've got like they're like creatures that like water because that's what they're there for. They're there to collect the water. See, when the soldiers are walking through the subway system and it's all flooded and they're using the water to make power, do you not think they look a wee bit like that? The way
A little
the way that a little bit about that. Do you wonder if it's more like pre-programming? So when the enemy comes, that's what they'll look like.
You have to remember with Project Blue Beam, the files that got released that Spielberg and several others have actually managed to look at, they've served as a lot of creative inspiration.
Yeah.
So it could very well be a tactic that if should they ever go to show themselves, people would try to think, okay, maybe this is fake. This is some loser on the internet with too much time doing special effects work. Like that one video I was showing where people are claiming that little xenomorph looking thing was the aliens out of Miami.
I seen that. You can tell it's fake.
Like, yeah.
Look,
it's a very well done video, but
it's like Dot says, constant speed, same direction, unlike the wind. But what comes if it has deliberately been made to make people think, oh, there's aliens, and that's one of their probes, and they're looking at our military and all that kind of stuff. And now you came at TikTok's like it's made its rounds in TikTok. Right?
Of course, it's going to make its rounds.
Aye. I just think there's a lot more to this. I just think it's the same with the Tic Tac UFOs and stuff like that. It's as if I don't think that's got nothing to do with the Federation and stuff like that. I don't think the Tic Tac UFO in that. I think that was merely man-made, and I think that was deliberate. I think that was deliberately released. I think the same with this. I think it's building up to something. It's building up to a weird alien fake invasion. Because let's face it, look, the government, they've started coming. I know there's been a lot of like calling now for like disclosure and stuff, and there is with what's his name, Dr. Stephen Greer and stuff like that. But do you think there's something suspicious? Do you think there is a fake? It's like Project Bluebeam or whatever you want to call it. I think something is on the horizon, and they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it. And there's so many people out there that will believe that the utter shit that it is.
There's a thing though. There's really two major avenues that this whole venture could take. There's still the efforts to try to push the fake alien invasion. But then there's the secondary option that is still, or even probably even more so likely, trying to discredit when they actually show up. Get people to doubt it. Think about it. If we have this pre-programming that all this alien stuff is bullshit, and we actually start seeing what looks like aliens coming down, there's going to be idiots who believe that that's just funny-looking people coming out of there.
Right. I mean, look at how many people have fell for the xenomorph and the weird, crazy creatured aliens.
Look at how many times that anytime there's an alien-related subject that comes up on the news, those videos start to circulate.
I think they're going to put it off this year. I think everybody thinks there's got to be a war in the Middle East, and that everybody thinks there's got to be. Maybe there'll be skirmishes in the Middle East with Iran and stuff like that. I don't know. Don't have a time machine, but I can tell you this now. Everybody keeps going on about the doomsday clock and nuclear war. I don't think there'll be nuclear war. I don't think there's got to be any nuclear war whatsoever. I don't know about the smaller nuclear weapons and the submarines that are still armed, right? I don't know about them. Some of them might be set off. Some of them might be tactical nuclear weapons. Still may be available, right? And some of them might be set off. Because let's face it, an EMP detonation out of New York City would knock out every single bit of electronic device. right? But would you want to do that if you want to stage an alien invasion?
Yeah,
You
you
wouldn't,
would.
would you? Because you would, but you wouldn't.
Yeah, you
First,
would.
you would show the aliens. First, you would show the aliens, and everybody's on their phones would be like, "Oh, look at this," and then you would flick the switch.
You would want for some kind of electronical interference. You would want electronics to start to malfunction. Maybe just a little bit leak through at first, but then something to kill the electronics to sell the bit. Just think about it.
So you're
UFOs
basically
get
saying
too close. UFOs
aye.
get too close. You're going to get electronic interference.
So you're basically saying as, oh, look at the right news presenter. Oh, look, this is New York right now. Alien invasion over New York City, and then they lose the communications with New York City, and
Yeah,
then it
that's
happens
going
to the next city,
It's
and
like,
then it
think about
happens
it.
to the next city.
That's the stage for every alien invasion movie. They start to show that something's coming. Then all of a sudden, the second you know the feed cuts, something just
No.
hit.
I'm just going to blow my nose while you read that thing down there.
So Galactic Stardust goes to ask, did you guys see the fake video of the giant in a hood with a walking stick? Was a shadow in the clouds, blue beam for sure. More like visual effects. It does not take much to make that. Not everything is blue beam.
It doesn't.
It's like, trust me, a kid alone in his room for like an hour could make that video. That's how good a lot of this tech is getting.
I agree 100% with Dakota here, guys. And I'll tell you why, because I get a strike on TikTok. I'm always getting strikes just because I'm an annoying pain in the ass. But anyway, there was a guy posted a video, and it was blue skies, and it was his back garden, and there was like this own toppy shed. There was this like weird flicker every now and again, right? A weird flicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you counted it, it went 1, 2 flicker, 3, 4 flicker. If you counted it, it was like every 2 seconds you would see the flicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked into it, and I noticed somebody had posted where it was took, somewhere down south, right? So I looked it up, and what's right next to the guy's house? A wind farm. There's a big turbine, and the blades would go and run. Now he looked up, and the sky was blue, but he never panned round this way. Because if he had panned round this way, there was a big turbine with its blades going 2, 2, like that, and that's what it was. Of course, I put there's a wind farm next to that. Instant, remove my comment.
Like exactly. Because anytime you actually go to try to debunk this shit, did you know there was actually a study done to show how to try to actually quantify how likely people are to share fake news as compared to anything real? Just by looking at headlines.
Mm-hmm.
The short of it,
last night. Mm-hmm.
The short of it was found that people, fully functioning adults, were 300 more times likely to share a false news article.
I'm really bad for posting. I'm really bad for saying fake news of both things. There was a guy on Facebook posted something the day, and he showed a destroyer, right, in the harbour, half sunk. Now, you probably know where this is. It's the Marine base in America. Is it San Diego? It's the big US Navy. It's like a museum for all the frigates for the war.
Mm.
Well, one of them gets sunk. There was weird weather, and one of them sunk in the harbour, right? Somebody taken that and said it was Iran had sunk a US Navy warship. Yeah. I put it on Facebook. Now, I says to the guy on Facebook, I says, let's look at this here. That is a 1940 style destroyer. You can clearly see it's a 1940 style destroyer. Look me again. Fake news. And it's everywhere now, this fake news. And some people will say, this is fake news. But it's no, we actually tell the truth about things that's actually going on in the world.
You know, I've actually gotten news anchors in trouble for sharing fake shit.
Really?
Uh-huh. I did. And it was I believe Jenny actually uses this still for him in her intro, speaking of Jenny, of an alleged skinwalker.
Someone was right. Is that the one that's crawling across the ground?
Yeah, you see it standing next to what looks
Aye.
like a dirt road. Someone was trying to say that that was spotted out of oil field near some oil fields in New Mexico.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, caught my eye. I did a quick reverse Google image search. It's all I did.
Mm-hmm.
It brought up that that particular frame was taken from a movie called Extra. It's a kind of an alien invasion body snatcher type movie.
Mm-hmm.
Came out in 1986. Not very well known, but all that was done was the picture was turned black and white.
Yep.
The dimensions of it were slightly squished to the sides. But it was a
Yeah.
dude in special effects makeup who happens to be a damn good contortionist. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I did was a reverse
There's
Google image search.
I the thing with fake news now is getting ridiculous. It really is. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere.
Because
And you
people
get a thing
aren't
in the
going for
UK go to
actual news, they're going for sensationalism.
but you get the thing in the UK now, and it's called BBC News Verified, right? And it's totally ironic because the person that they've got presenting it, Dots will probably kind of know what I'm talking about. The person they've got presenting it was done for faking news. Seriously, that's who they've hired to do it. So then you think to yourself, so if that says verified, that should be real, shouldn't it? No, it's government propaganda bullshit. That's what it is. Because they go on about the Ukraine war and stuff like that, and it's no true. There's stuff that they're talking about that's just no true. It's happening.
And here's the thing: they also know that they also bounce off of the idea that nobody would be able to debunk it because they're not physically at the location to call it out.
You know?
By the time anybody who actually realizes, like, wait, that was supposed to be there, it's all done and forgotten about.
Yeah. It's madness, isn't it?
It is
It's just the world we live in now. It's just the world we live in now is all deemed what the elite want us to see, and what we want to see is not real.
exactly,
Because if you to really look at this earth and what was really going on, you all would be shocked, you
exactly.
know. And
Now,
it's
not to
just
say that weird
crazy.
shit like that doesn't actually happen, but it's like how they keep trying to push that the Miami Mall was genuine aliens. I was like, oh dear
No, there
God.
was no aliens at that.
No, I
There
was
was no
record.
aliens at that.
I know. I was recording a show, guest appearance for a show down in Knoxville. It's not out yet, but we got to talking about it a little bit. She fully believed that that was genuine aliens, and I'm just like, not really.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little odd how they staged the scene for a potential active shooter situation, but especially down in Florida.
It's kind of like I'm going to mention George Orwell 1984. Don't know if this will get banned or no, but we go to loads of different organizations. Have you ever seen the movie George Orwell 1984? I
No,
mean
I
the
haven't.
original one. I'm not talking about the kind of coloured version. I'm talking about the black and white one.
There's a black and white one.
Did you know Ken that? There's a black and white one for
And
1930.
hey, you still gotta remember, I'm still a youngster compared to most people that go
Right.
into this.
The book George Orwell's are very interesting. I've got the audio book here, and it's off it good. Right? There's more in the book than the movie and stuff, right? What is the George Orwell? The society is kind of like North Korea, where they're constantly playing out the tannoids, and they've got TV screens that the people must watch in their houses, and everybody thinks that everybody in the houses are being watched, but are they really being watched? Are they? How could somebody watch every single person, but everybody thinks that, right? It's the fear. So if people keeps drilling in, oh, the aliens are coming, oh, we found a planet out there with life, oh, look at this, there's this getting released and that, and they keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. When one of them does appear, there'll be mass panic.
Exactly.
What's that, mate? What's that? Hey, everyone, some storm tonight, barely any, I know.
I know Chris's signal has started to cut out a couple of times now.
I don't think it's because I'm internet. I think it's mere because of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you still got
Yeah,
shit weather, and that would knock you out.
true. But look,
I say, hey, we don't need to contribute to fake news now.
I know that's very true. That's very true. Come on, let's look at it. Right, let's take Bigfoot. Right,
All
how
right.
Bigfoot's been blown out the water for fake news. Let's look what happened with Pete the other day because a Bigfoot and it just shows you how that's got into social media.
Uh-huh.
Now, I heard you explaining this last night to everybody, but I
Yeah,
was
I
talking to
mentioned it
Pete.
a little bit on the birthday live too. I didn't mention. I mentioned that yes, the police were caught, but Pete was actually made aware of this incident and
Mm-hmm.
was able to physically sit and wait for those guys to show up.
Yeah, he sat and waited at his dad's grave. And you got to remember, this is a private grave on private land that Pete
Mm-hmm.
owns. And he sat and he waited and he watched them climb out of the wall. He watched them climb out of the wall and into the property. And then he phoned the sheriff, and the sheriff came out and arrested them. But what I'm saying is, people, well, how's this to do with fake news and that? But what I'm trying to say is people would watch Mike, right? And Mike would tell these amazing stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people would think, oh, I bet you if I go to his grave, these things would happen. Thinking that. But see, that's the thing. Oh, there's somebody saying Galactic Star, happy birthday to you, Dakota. But that's the thing. I mean, it's like the game of telephone. It's like somebody says this, somebody says that. Oh,
Yeah.
you've disappeared. The aliens have got you.
No, just turned off my camera for a quick sec.
No problem. But anyway, look, it's a good job that guy, that the people that did that to Mike's grave. Do you know that they deleted their channel?
Yeah, I saw that.
Because Mike gave me, no Mike, because his son gave me their what do you call it, their channel name, and I went and looked for it, and it was gone. So I messaged Pete, and Pete's like, I says, they've deleted everything. It's all gone.
But
So it makes you wonder why.
to get the
It makes you.
transcripts.
He changed screenshots of that, but do you think that was them trying to cover themselves?
Yeah, it was. Typical dumbass move. As if YouTube, if given the proper warrants, wouldn't be able to dig that information up.
But see, this is where
never gets deleted.
See, this is where kind of like fake news comes in and fake stories come in, because they'll see Mike one night talking about something, right? And they'll be like, oh, this guy is amazing. I want to find out. I would love to know how they managed to find out where Mike stayed. That takes a bit of detective work, because let's face it, Mike has never told us where he stays. He's told us the region he stays in, but he's never told us, and I don't want to know any, because that's Pete's business. You know what I mean?
As someone who's has experience with that, it doesn't take much.
But it makes you wonder who else he's went and tell, the person or the woman or whoever these people are. Oh, well, you should go to this grave at 3 a.m. A giant beast will come out the woods and eat you or something like that kind of thing. It makes you wonder, out of fake stories, how many people else will try that. Because let's face it, because Pete's had them arrested, and so you should have, Pete, you should go them arrested because they're bad. People find out that why were people they try to do that there? There must be something to this story, so it might get the urban legend kind of attached to it. You see where I'm going with this?
And here's the thing. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with topics of the supernatural, and Mike could very well validate this, you give to something too much thought, the urban legends eventually just might come true.
So let's face it. Would you really like Mike the Naked Bigfoot spirit to visit you in the night?
People say they would because, again, it's no longer about morals. It's no longer about actually telling the news. It's about sensationalism. It's about views. It's about likes. The number of people I have heard openly admit that they don't ask for permission to go to certain locations,
Yeah.
just to get them, just to cover themselves legally in case there's an issue with police.
Yep.
Even if you're in a location, like I know you said in Scotland, you don't necessarily get in trouble with the law if you're caught
Well-
trespassing somewhere.
Well, look at the places I go to. I know the people that own the land. For instance, there's that Carmichael house where I go to quite a lot. But I
Mhm.
know the man that owns it. See, a lot of people think that, oh, I've just wandered in there and I'm wandering about it and all that kind of stuff. But I know the guy that works for the guy that owns it, right? And he knows that I go there, right? So, you know how many people have asked me where that right location is, and I'll not get it out. I'll just not get it. I kind of folk out there that used to hang with me, they'll probably give away the location now. But I still wouldn't do it because it's private. It's still private property, but you can get it. Get what I mean? But if they lock that gate and you drive up there, you're screwed. Because you'll not be able to get back out again. That's why I walked there.
But still, the number of people I've seen openly admit that they just walk into a location. You know, it's one thing, you know, if it's public access, anybody can go in and out type of thing. That's one thing. That's fine. But people willing to trespass and even go as far as try to justify their trespassing, vandalize property, and just be completely disrespectful.
Right.
What the
See,
hell?
I'm kind of funny. With my Ghost Squad Scotland channel, I've actually started another channel now where I'm going to be uploading only the graveyard videos to it. But there'll be more about that coming when it's ready. But what I'm saying is, when I go to an old graveyard, I only really do the old part. I will go to the new part, but I don't really like getting up to people's stones that have recently been buried. And I know a lot of people out there that do that go up and they'll sit like spirit boxes on people's graves. It's all right in the old ones that are maybe like 200-300 years old, right? But see ones that have only been there for like maybe a year.
Yeah,
No.
I know that's a very thin line. I mean, maybe if it was a loved one that knows that you did that type of thing, maybe. But that's a very thin line.
Who's that guy, that famous guy on YouTube, and he makes the ghost boxes? Get who I'm talking about? The guy that I think he's got something. He's got something to do with the necrophonic app or something like that.
He had a hand in it. Yes. Fuck, I forgot his name.
Well, remember the video that he did where there was a funeral happening in America. There was a funeral happening, and 4 graves up, he was sitting with a ghost box trying to communicate with him.
See, I'll admit, full disclosure, I've actually done that.
Right.
But it was with the loved one who knew I did this type of thing.
But this guy actually did it at the same time as the funeral was going on.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, in my case, it was a loved one. And everyone knew that was my way of grieving. Who wouldn't want?
Who
it's like
I was. I know.
I know, but I'm saying he didn't know that group, did he?
No, he didn't know anything about them. He just wanted to get something to say so as he could put it on his YouTube channel and make money.
Exactly. That's the thing.
But that's the thing nowadays. There's a lot of fakery in the ghost hunting world. I mean, let's just look at Zach. I mean, Mike's favourite. No, I don't mean this in a sense.
Mr. Backens.
Mike the Naked Bigfoot liked Zach, but to be on a burning pile of rocks. Because Zach Bagans, let's face it, has faked a lot of stuff. I mean, he has. He's faked a lot of stuff. He's been caught faking a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying the other ones that associate with him, they've done it. I don't think they have. Because what was his name? Was it Aaron Goodwin? He broke up.
Not Aaron. It was Nick.
It was Nick. He broke up. And I think he knew that Zach was up to something. I think he knew it, and that's why he broke away. And I admire him for that. Because he's fighting for the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Zach's was just wanting to become wealthy and powerful. Let's face it. But if you notice now, that Ghost Adventurers has went down a hill big time.
Mm-hmm.
Get what I mean? And it's sad. It's sad. All this faking and stuff is, and it is. It's like fake news. It's just fake things that has destroyed the paranormal world. I mean, there's good ghost hunters out there. Let's take Jenny for what's it, Emerald Isles Paranormal, right? Her, Louise, and her man, fantastic ghost hunters, right? Absolutely fan. Did you see the one when she was at the castle?
I caught
Not
bits
that
of it.
long ago. Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. She deserves so many more views for that. So many more views for that. Where you've got people out there that are going out there and say, "Ooh, I can hear the screams of the monk, the headless monk." How can you get fucking screams at a headless monk? Get what I mean? And there's been people out there that I used to follow at the very start that I thought were all right. And now I've noticed they started faking things.
Mm-hmm.
And see when they started faking stuff, I noticed their channel got like 100,000 subscribers.
Exactly.
No, people want fear. People don't want to know if there's life after death. People just want to sit in their chair and go, "Oh my god, look at that!" That kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. It's sad
It
that
is.
you know.
I
And
mean, why do you
it's the
think there's so
same in
many
the
true
UFO
crime
field.
enthusiasts these days?
I've met some of them. I've met some true crime people that think they're bloody Sherlock Holmes and they're utter crap.
Exactly. I mean, hell, there's and you see it just about every time. And okay, yes, it may be fascinating to an extent, but at the same time, it kind of goes back to visiting recent graves for a ghost hunt. That is, there's still people affected by that
Yeah.
loss, by what happened. It's not
Yeah.
just some random story. That is someone's life. That is
Yep.
one of the worst points in someone's life, and you're broadcasting it for money.
See, that's why on my channel I tend to stick to the older parts where I know everybody associated with the graves are probably long dead. I just wander around about anyway. I don't really. I'll admit, I go up to some graves sometimes because if they look interesting. See if you like a stone that's like all hand carved and stuff like that. I was like, oh, look at that, it's amazing. But I do never, ever, ever put a ghost box or the obulus or whatever it's called or that necrophonic on a new grave because I think that's just damn disrespectful. I really think it is.
It is.
And the old graves, aye, it's fine. It's kind of fine. They folk have been in there for what 200, 300, 400 years. Some of them. I mean, the oldest grave I've ever seen was one for the 12th century. Right? I mean, that's ridiculously old. I mean, it's nearly 1,000 years. Can't I mean? And I don't think his great uncle's got to jump out the bush at me and hit me over the head with a club and start shouting at me. You know what I mean? But I just think the paranormal field is not just the paranormal field; it's the UFO community. They are terrible for it. Absolutely terrible. You see, look at all the fighting in the UFO field now. And you came up talking. You came up with to talk about, but I'm not going to mention who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're meant to be trying. We're trying to work here together to like bring about awareness to like what you call extraterrestrial life, and folk are bickering because they're been on the History Channel more times than them. That's what it's about. I don't know. I just think it's sad.
You hear all the time that this person should be on the shows, and yeah, they could be. They could very well be some of the weirdest cases out there. Just seemingly talking to them brings out a UFO. But the second that drama hits the airwaves, any potential producer, there is a very long screening process. I've seen it for myself behind this. And if you're known to be causing trouble, you're not going to get to anything big like that.
Oh, if you've got any drama,
especially with woke culture,
Yeah, if you've got any type of drama or any type of sexist remarks, and that's for somebody out there that probably watches this still, towards women in any way, you have fucked yourself. And I'm sorry about my swearing, but you really have. You fucked yourself. And it's just, I just don't understand some people that do it. I just don't understand it. Just because that person's a better paranormal investigator than you'll ever be, can't I mean that's why that person goes for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sad, but that's the thing we live in today. I mean, I don't know. When I first got into this, it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad, but see now it really is bad. I mean, Kim, it really annoys me, and this is in the UFO community. This really annoys me. You've got all these people coming out, all these famous people that have never really did UFO investigations, that have never really did UFO stuff, but they're on TV and they're getting interviewed about UFOs, right? You came up talking about. Whereas you get people like Elena that kens all about the UFOs and she kens all about the Galactic Federation, she kens all about this kind of stuff, and she's not getting interviewed by these TV people. Whereas it should be that way. I mean, this is real people. This is real people that's experiencing this. Am I missing something here? People need to learn for her. Know somebody that's been in some mad film or something like that. Just because
but here's the thing. That's why I wanted to bring up something that Elena recently addressed in one of her videos, is that if she has all these trips, because it's a question I get all the fucking time.
Yeah.
If she's been able to actually get inside these craft, why hasn't she been able to, get a selfie with some of the aliens? And even when she goes on Twitter, everybody goes to ask, well, why not Polaroids? Polaroids get fucked up by radiation too.
Yeah.
Old film cameras, the film gets destroyed.
Of course it does.
But that's why I said, you want to see something similar to what might happen? Take the Polaroid, take the film, have it go through an X-ray scanner at the airport. See what happens.
Yeah. Destroys
it's very difficult.
Just like to say, there's Jenny just in there. Good to see Jenny. Visit her channel because she has got a good channel. She has got a good channel, and she's one of the professional ones out there that do the paranormal side. Whereas you get folk out there on the paranormal side that are just shit at their jobs. Get what I mean?
Because again, for them, it's no longer about finding the truth. There's a level of sensationalism, and when people realize that they can start making some money, morals start to get called into question.
Yeah, I mean, people fake things because they know by faking things, they'll be like, ooh, and then they stand up against that, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that kind of hanging and all that. You shouldn't have thrown a stone, for instance, okay, like a paranormal thing, right? Throwing a stone, for instance, and then accuse that person of it, right? And then go around all the YouTube channels out there, everywhere, saying that it's absolutely diabolical and all that. See what I'm saying? It's mad. Mm-hmm. It's mad.
Yeah, he's the one that threw the stone.
Yeah, no, he got somebody to throw the stone for them. But look, that's him. He's fucked his career anyway. And I'm going to say that. I'm swearing. Yes, I'm swearing for the family that watch my shows. I'm swearing because I'm very annoyed at this person in particular. Because of the way he treated women. You don't treat women that way. You don't say... Don't get me started. Like, change the subject because I'll start on one of my tangents and I'll go after them again like I did the last one. So let's talk about something else.
I know.
Yeah,
he got all
really
huffy and puffy saying we were banned from his platform, and I was like, your platform wasn't really doing shit for us. We were building up on our own just fine.
There's paranormal investigators out there, and there's one of them in the chat there, Emerald Eyes Paranormal. They are fantastic channels. And this is to the podcast world. Check them out because they are good at what they do. But there you go. Because Dakota does paranormal stuff too, you know. So they are, but I didn't do it that much, to be honest with you. I'm no in like their league. Yeah, I mean, but
I
it's
know, but that goes to point to another thing that I guess it kind of goes into why isn't there more photos? Why isn't there more video?
yeah.
Unfortunately, because of this sensationalism and because of what people have tried to do, I've had to lock down on how much I reveal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been times where investigations I've been a part of overlapped with criminal investigations.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, someone's laying out bones trying to pretend that was a missing person.
No.
Actual bones.
Yeah.
Not Halloween decorations. They were found to be legitimate dog bones. Trying to
Yeah.
claim, oh, that's the rest of the body that was never recovered.
I was watching a YouTuber one night, and he started to do his investigation. His channel started to do it being real, doing real stuff. And then he was going through the graveyard, and he said, "Oh, I found bones." And it's weird you say that. I found bones, right, in the graveyard, and I think it belongs. It wasn't. It was chicken bones. I mean, let's face it. He was trying to say that it was a finger joint, but it wasn't. You could see it was a chicken bone, right? He was trying
Right?
to a finger that length or something like that. I mean, you need to be a fucking nice to the still.
So I was about to say, I'll admit, there's some people that have had severe deformities that they had long fingers like that, but
One big long finger, but handy for doing your scratching your nose or something like that, I suppose.
or they're very popular with the ladies, but
Yeah. People will be getting excited in the chat there.
you know.
But Dots, control yourself. Now you can use it for stirring your tea. I don't know what's happened to me, by the way. Ken, I've not had a cup of coffee for nearly 2 weeks now. I've had 9 cups of tea a day every day this week. It's terrible. I'm taking out the tea
Tea's
bug.
supposed to be healthier for you.
I suppose it has. It's helped with my cold a wee bit, but anyway. But it just goes to show you there, guys, that you should support real investigators out there. Don't support those that are sexist towards women and homophobic. Honestly. Do you think there's an awful lot of that, the homophobic folk? It really gets down to me.
Well, there's a lot of anti-everything these days. I mean,
know.
what the fuck?
I know. I was shocked when I did see that one about the sexism and the homophobic. When I seen that one a couple of weeks ago, we know who we're talking
But
about.
again, everybody's trying to push us. You know what? In general speaking, unless someone is bringing out physical evidence that this individual they're speaking out against is causing physical harm, they're out there with malicious intent. Don't support anybody who tries to push an us versus them narrative.
Yeah.
Because that's what got us into this chaotic mess in the first place. That is why the news media is able to portray several different things out of proportion.
It's corruption. It's corruption too. Yeah, I mean, and it's sad. It's a sad life that this is people go down this road being nasty to people that are actually fucking good at what they do. And it's the same. Look at Elena. Look what's happened to Elena. She's fucking amazing in the UFO. I was watching one of her videos last night in the UFO community. I mean, but she should be up on TV getting questions and stuff like that. These Senate hearings and all that kind of stuff. But no, it's all these famous folk that have never done any UFO work.
No, that's the one thing with the UFO office that the U.S. actually approved not too long ago. I understand the mentality they're going for by only asking military personnel, but nevertheless, there's still several civilians out there who have had legitimate incidents happen to them that aren't being given the time of day.
That was really strange. That something happened there.
What's that? Come on, share
I
with the class.
I quote it at the corner of my eye. I've got the light here on, and this light on that's obviously aiming at my background. That's except for obviously the LEDs. I'm sure somebody just walked right past me at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the corner of my eye. I seen a sleeve and a hat and an arm. And I looked round. Aye.
about right here, I noticed that it started to distort.
Came out, I thought I seen that. Again, this is going to sound absolutely stupid. But you kind of a zebra, the zebra style is a black, white, black, white, black, white,
Yeah,
right? Like a prison, like that. Like a prison. So in the skeleton, that's what I seen at the corner of my eye. And I looked through and I thought for a split second I seen somebody walk right through the wall. But it was only the tail end of their hand that I caught. Interesting that is.
Okay.
It was weird. It was a kind of like flicker. It was like a kind of see that thing that you bring up on your screen sometimes. It's all coloured
Yeah.
like that. Except it was black and white, black and white, black and white, and it was at the corner of my eye. I seen it, and I've got nothing else on. My iPhone's on, but it's paused. The video's paused, and so as I can see the chat. Plus, I can monitor it in case there's any idiots come in. I can kick them or ban them.
What's that
But that was strange. That there's no wind in here. Wind is shut. Very strange that was. Very strange.
Sounds like it.
I know you were having problems last night, Tasty. This is you get a lot of people out there that fake things like this deliberately. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen it? Have you ever witnessed that? I've seen it, and you can tell they're faking straight away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like these people that put out the videos saying, "Well, this is a man, and another guy having an argument outside their house," but you can tell they're acting. I don't know what it is, but you can just tell they're acting. It's like a censor
shitty
vote.
actors.
Aye, they're diabolical. But I don't know if it's something to do with the storm the night. I don't know if that affects the old UFOs or something like that. But I heard a few things earlier, but I don't know what it is. It's like a constant beep like that. And if it, in my turbo beaches thing somewhere. Strange. I don't know if it's maybe the weather and it's the cables. Kind of what I mean? What you call it with the signals going through them, but I've noticed that last night you had problems last night, and it was very strange. What was going on?
Yeah, especially when I started talking about the crop circle experiment.
Yeah, that's something that I would like to try. And it's like Jenny at Emerald Isles Paranormal. She's wanting to do something like that's a UFO kind of thing, and it's something that I've never really done. I've done it myself when I've been out where it was -8 the other night. That's maybe not so cold for you had it colder than that the other night. But I was looking at the Milky Way. You can see that because I'm in the middle of nowhere, there's no light pollution, and I could see the Milky Way. And it's something that maybe should try one night. Is I could go somewhere and you could come on, and I could link in here and try a UFO experiment at night.
We talking like a C5 thing, or?
I could obviously connect my phone. What do you think, guys? I could connect my phone. I could go up away into the hills at the back where there's like pitch dark, where I seen that UFO, and I could try the CE5 thing. They're live, connect, because it'd be interesting. Because I think sometimes they try and communicate. I really do think that, because they're all meant to be interdimensional now. That's the other topic. The aliens that are coming, they're interdimensional.
They would have to in order to cross the distances they do.
See, it's quite interesting that, because obviously there's multiple dimensions out there. So it makes you wonder what they're like, the aliens for the other dimensions.
Unfortunately, this is one of those things where it's not a one size fits all. Every little society is going to have its own little quirks. It's going to have its outcasts of people that say, fuck you all, leave me alone.
One question for you. Say the day comes for the fake alien invasion, a spaceship lands out in front of you. You got to go up to them and talk to them?
Depends.
See, that's the thing. If they come out shooting, you'll know that they're probably working for the government.
You know, I happened to catch a little clip on It was from a movie called The Fifth Wave.
I've seen that.
Alien invasion movie. Towards the end,
I've
the
seen it.
twist is that the people that are getting gunned down are actually the humans, and the Fifth Wave's already infiltrated, and it's the military controlling it. It makes you wonder how many people would get lined up because they have had legitimate experiences because they know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They have DNA records of all of them.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about on the show a long while ago, there's several who have had incidents where they've ended up in the hospital. Nothing. They had their own little medical emergencies. Nothing necessarily ET related, but they've had blood go missing that was taken from them.
Yeah, I know that. Mm-hmm.
Now, is it a situation where all these people happen to live in areas with shady ass hospitals, or is there something else?
I think there's something else. I think people like me, people like you, people like Elena, all people out there, everybody in the chat that does this, I think they're being watched very, very closely. Obviously, I don't know whether they watch me because I'm a complete idiot, but they are watching everybody involved in this.
Well, you
I
also
think
got to
we've
take
all
into
got a connection.
consideration. You also got to take into consideration. These are people that don't necessarily have any restriction hurting people's loved ones to send a message. I mean, old school mobsters. There was a point where they wouldn't mess with someone's wife and daughter type thing. They said there was a saying that they said, "You kill a man, you send his wife flowers.
Yeah.
You settle your score with that man." These people, they don't have that moral code anymore. So people's loved ones get gone to a crossbar. I wish I was exaggerating when I said that when I start looking into certain subjects, that all of a sudden my family members start getting attacked. My sister, the one that just had the baby, one of her car mirrors has a bullet hole through it.
Really?
It does.
Tires, did you say?
No, one of her car mirrors, like her
There's a
side
bullet
view
hole?
mirrors, has a bullet hole. That was not there when she bought it.
See, that's the thing. That's maybe them trying to put a message out to you. Maybe they're watching this right now.
There was a drive-by near where she worked.
Well, maybe it's a stray bullet.
Possibly. There's a lot of gang affiliations where she was at.
Did it go straight through, or is it?
It's straight. It was straight through.
I was going to say because if it was still in there, you should contact the cops or something. They could get the bullet, trace it.
No, I could tell. I could tell the caliber of the bullet just by looking at it, and it does actually match what was used in that drive-by. The person that did it was caught and has been arrested, but there have been a few gang incidents within the last couple months, not too far from me.
See, you hear about this gang stalking. You ever heard about this? It's a show we should really do, is it, talking about gang stalking. Because there is a lot of like top UFO people out there that have had this problem. Everywhere they go, they get followed and stuff like that. And when they go to approach them, they drive away, and then it's somebody else that's following them. It's as if the government's deliberately doing it to try and drive them mad. Because let's face it, see the CIA, what you call them, the FBI actually used to do it to the drug deals. See, in the early 80s, 90s in America, they used to do it to the drug dealers. They used to deliberately do it. See, have you ever watched the film Goodfellas?
Yep.
See where he's driving along. See when he's driving along, and he's looking up, and there's a helicopter, and it's following him. That was the FBI. They did it deliberately to wind them up, and they deliberately showed themselves.
The more paranoid they get, the more likely they are to screw up.
Aye, and when they screw up, the FBI will come and say, "Well, if you tell us all about your friends, we'll let you off, but we'll put you in witness protection."
Yeah,
like he did. Yeah, I mean that's a true story. That film. I mean,
it still happens.
Oh yeah, but it makes you wonder. I mean, at the same time, they're putting all this stuff out about UFO stuff, right? oh, look at this, the James Webb Telescope and this. But at the exact same time, they're saying, oh, there's no such thing as aliens. It's like they're playing everybody. And I'm going to say this now. I think there's a lot of UFO people out there that are plants. That are definitely plants that work for the government. Or 100% plants.
The way you want...
And everybody look up to them.
Here's the thing. The best way to try to sort out who those people are to look directly at who finances them. Because Biden doesn't. The Democratic Party has actually been found. And it's been big for a while, but it's been starting to come a little bit more publicly ever since Biden went into office. They have found to have been endorsing, sending checks to talent agencies.
Yeah.
And while those talent agencies may not disclose who they're obviously going to disclose, who they support. That's their job. They're wanting to promote them. They're not going to necessarily disclose where they're getting the paychecks.
Yeah.
But the Democratic Party has to disclose that information.
I've thought to myself, I mean, there's a few UFO people I watch out there. There's only people I trust out there. I trust Elena. I watch her stuff, right? And I like Danny's channel. I trust her, right? And some other guys out there that I do watch and stuff like that from time to time. But there's folk out there, there's just something about them. I just feel like they're working. Because let's face it, I mean, YouTube, you can buy subscribers. So it wouldn't take much to buy like 100,000 subscribers, right? But it would take actually quite a bit of money. But you could do it, right? But if the government paid for that.
Exactly. Indirectly through those ad agencies, like I said, but it does happen.
There's people out there that are constantly putting out like fear porn, or you should be ready for this, you should be ready. It's like preppers, right? There's one called Canadian Prepper or something like that. Jesus Christ, he's constantly putting out there's got to be a nuclear war. Oh, meanwhile, you should buy my book and buy all my stuff at the same time, right? Yeah, and buy all my supplies that I sell in my shop at the same time. There's times I've thought to myself, Ken, something you can be working for the CIA, and this could be like some type of mind op. This could be like to make people want to prep and stuff like that, because it's nothing that he says ever comes true. Nothing.
Here's the thing, though. People want to act like FBI, CIA training is like top secret stuff. You don't get to see that type of stuff unless you have a job application sitting in front of you, right? That stuff is not as secret as people believe. The CIA just took better notes and learned how to manipulate it better. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Anybody can do those types of things. You repeat something enough, eventually people's guards start coming down and they start to believe it. It's a well-known psychological fact. It happens all the time. Even some of the good guys do it.
What's your thoughts on Nick Pope?
He's an interesting guy. Tried to work on getting him on the show a few times, but scheduling never lines up. I know the kind of controversies you're talking about. But and it could very well be that his position was blown out of proportion for television, which happens all the time. But the particular controversies I do believe that you're going to be bringing up here in the next couple of minutes is a little ridiculous.
See, you go tell everybody.
Well enough to where I can practically read you right now.
I was just asking your opinion on him. I just think. No, I wasn't going to repeat what people say because I'm not doing that. But what I was going to say is oh, my lights just flickered there, so
I just saw that.
Yeah, the power might go off. But here's the thing, right? The power's going to go off. The lights are starting to flicker now. Is it in? Who is it? It's aliens. Right.
We probably should wrap up the show, man.
All right, but what I'm going to say really quickly about Nick Pope and all that, right? I do believe he has got a lot of information to tell. right? But I find it interesting that he only goes in top shows. He doesn't want to speak to the little guy, which I find interesting because there's a lot of big people out there in the UFO community that will speak to the little guy, right? And that's what makes me think. It just makes me think that maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he's not telling the truth. I don't know.
Well, like
But
I
there's
said,
like a lot. I'm not going to get into things that he said.
Someone with Nick's background could easily sell. It's easy sell.
Christ, aye.
Easy. That's all it is. But the only person I've ever had that I've reached out to that has legitimately stated wanting to know audience numbers before they make a decision was Dr. Greer's group. That's the only one that I've come across. Nick Pope, like I said, he said he was willing to do it.
Actually, it's his ties.
It's his ties, scheduling. There's been several big names that you can see, like Dan Aykroyd. I've talked with his people a couple of times. Unfortunately, due to contracts with CBS, he can't show his face.
See, I found it really interesting before we went on the show. Remember when Dr. Stephen Greer, if you're watching, I just want to get this across here, but see when you were doing that, when he was doing that talk and he was talking about the different types of UFOs and stuff like that. And then he brought up the fact that they need donations because they have to buy like hard drives. You get what I'm talking about here? He's got the terabyte hard drives to put all the information on. He says, "Oh, every location helps. We need to buy hard drives." You would think an organization like that could, the ties it's got, they could make some money to get some hard drives.
You would think, but yes.
Tell you what, if Dr. Steve, if you come on, we'll buy a hard drive.
But that's where a lot of it gets called into question because Dr. Greer has been known to associate with some rather shady individuals. And he's caught in hell.
Yes.
But nevertheless, all the same, but still, there's a lot of things we don't realize behind closed doors.
Yeah. I think a lot of people out there, what I'm going to say is you look at people and you'll think, oh, they bound to be rich. They've been on the telly loads and loads of times. Yeah. They're bound to be rich as they're no. You've got to remember some of these people, some of these paranormal people that you think are loaded and they've got loads of money, are super rich. They're no. I came one of them. You can't remember what to mention. You can't his name is old Dave. And everybody thinks he's real life because he's been on all these ghost prods. He's got a big family to feed. He's got a big family. He's got how many kids has he got? About 15 or something like that, or something mad like that.
Something like that. But I'll say this. This is something that you've actually done to me a couple of times when we first met. When you realize some of the things I've been on.
Oh, that's right.
It's like like when I was on National Geographic. People thought I got paid for that. No. I haven't seen a single dime from that. I wasn't expecting a paycheck from it because I was too.
Dan Aykroyd would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Genuinely nice guy.
But the problem with him is he is tied up with the movie industry, and if he could fuck his career if he stood out of line, he could end up getting sued by his own company. So that's why. So that's why if you met him in the street and he gave you an autograph, it'd be fine. But he has to watch what he's doing. I mean?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like take this scenario. It's like how I was talking about that guy that we used to know that we all fell out with because he was being a sexist, bigamist, and all the kind of things, right? He was saying terrible things about women and he was being homophobic, right? Imagine for a second that was Dan Aykroyd that said those things.
Oh, you would hear it all over the place.
Yeah. He would not, the movie industry would not touch him with a barge pole. Look at what happened to Will Smith, right? When he slapped that guy. Netflix offered him a job, right? But let's face it, he lost a bit of money out of that. He did
Yeah.
lose a bit of money with that. And
Yeah, for a woman who has only come out and said that she never really wanted to marry him in the first place.
you know what I mean? So that's that, ladies and gentlemen. What's the subject next Saturday? What are we talking about? Do we have any guests? Oh, do we have Leonard Lowe coming on, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
We're talking about hauntings.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to get that put together.
Yeah, so we're talking about Leonard Lowe next Saturday, I think it is, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to do a show tomorrow on what do you call it, that Irish famine? Was it genocide or whatever it was? I might have to postpone that to Tuesday or Thursday or Friday night. Jenny's mum's not very well, so prayers out there to Jenny's mum, stuff like that. I hope she gets better soon. So do that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how you feel, Papa Joe.
Oh,
I
Papa
had to sign
Joe's.
paperwork. Been there.
What's that? I got nothing. Extreme engineering. What's that about? What's extreme engineering? Give me something to watch. What episode was that? Message me, Papa Joe, with the episode you were on, because I like watching stuff about engineering and stuff like that.
Yeah, some of those bits are pretty cool.
Yeah, I like things like that when they're made. See, if you go to Papa Joe's channel, guys, out there and stuff like that, and all about beer, you'll see a sign that he's made, and it's called Out There, and it's a UFO. Check it out. Check his channel out, guys, and give him a wee subscribe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what are you up to the rest of the night, Dakota? Strange things in the night lurking about?
Yeah, the strange things in the night are I'm gonna go get some dinner, maybe sleep, try to get a couple more hours of sleep because I'm into the civilian job tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to my bed too. My cold's nearly away, but I've still got a wee bit of sore throat. Some, what do you call it, antiseptic throat spray and then anti-bed dimerically go. That's what I'm going to do. What's that? Oh, we'll be on the show tomorrow night. We will be on the show tomorrow night, so it'll be going ahead tomorrow night from 9:30 till 10:30ish. Then it'll be an interesting show because the Irish famine, I don't know if you've heard about that, Dakota, was bad. It was bad. And in the UK school system would teach us it was because of the potato blight, but it wasn't. It was because of the English wouldn't feed the Irish.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped the food from going into the country. Caused genocide. You want to check that show out, guys, because it'll be very, very interesting.
Sounds like
if
it.
I've no blew away, you know.
Yeah, from the sound of that wind, my God.
I know. I'll look out the window and it'll be like, what do you call it? The Wizard of Oz will wake up and it'll have landed on top of a witch.
Don't take that count. Well, be careful of how you say that. Some of those witches look like they could really want to ride you.
I know.
Especially with your new penis enlargement.